Richard, thank you very much indeed. Thank you for your warm welcome as well as the warm weather. Oh, warm by my comparison, weather. It's a real pleasure to be here, and it's been far too long before I got here. But I just wanted to say, reflect on your words. It is extraordinary, actually, that the United Kingdom and Australia didn't already have a defence cooperation treaty in place. That is actually not quite as much an omission as it first sounds. It's just that there is already an assumed cooperation treaty in place, even without it being formally passed. But I'm pleased that we've actually righted that small oversight today with the treaty we signed half an hour ago, which will bring us even closer together. And you're right about everything that you've just said. In fact, we met for, I guess, an hour and a half earlier, and as I came out the room, I turned to my team, and my first comment was, we could not possibly be closer, despite it being almost impossible to be geographically further apart. And by that I mean that our view and world outlook is very, very similar. Our understanding of the world order almost identical, and the need to act together never more pressing than it is today. We are living, as I said in a speech at Lancaster House in London, with your Chief of Defence Staff present back in January, in a world which has moved from a post-war world that we've always considered we've lived in to a pre-war world, where not because we're about to go to war tomorrow, I hope, but because we need to be more prepared than ever before, our stance needs to change. And there's evidence of that everywhere you look. You mentioned what's happening in Ukraine. And even though it's happening on a different continent, a long way from here, the read across is so blatantly obvious that to ignore it would be to do a disservice to everyone, no matter where they live, and particularly for those of you who happen to live in the Indo-Pacific region, where the whole world, and particularly any dictator, anyone who doesn't have to answer to voters, is looking at what happens in Ukraine and deciding whether all you need to do is outweight the West and the civilized world in order to keep what you've gained through ill-gotten means. And so I think the biggest threat that the world faces today is a sense of attention deficit from countries that believe in freedom and democracy and are prepared, therefore, we must be prepared, therefore, to make sure that that does not happen. And the battle in Ukraine, where I was the week before last speaking to Zelensky, is at the forefront. If it were the case that a autocrat could walk in, take over land, and then end up keeping that just because, although we said it couldn't happen, we lost focus and attention, and then that would read across to other parts of the world, and in particular the Indo-Pacific. And so I am hugely grateful for the leadership you've shown with the International Fund for Ukraine and helping to fund the International Fund for Ukraine. That is a financial mechanism which means that we're helping to get Ukraine what they need today to fight that battle. I just want to publicly thank you, Richard, for what you've done there. I'm also very, very excited that you'll be joining the drone coalition. Drones are a new factor in that war that 2 years ago played a very small part and now are playing an increasingly significant, increasingly sophisticated part. And countries who invest in the drone coalition are not just doing it for Ukraine, though of course that's the primary purpose, but also because that stands as a potential to bring huge technological improvements and advances in drone technology to our home markets as well, for defence and for civilian purposes. And again, your foresighted investment in the drone coalition will not just help Ukraine, it will help Australia as well. And we look forward, actually, to working with you on that technology, sharing the technologies between us and making us all stronger as a result. But it is, of course, to this region that this visit is most intended. I'm here as the Defence Secretary from the UK, but I'm also here with the British Foreign Secretary, David Cameron, as well, who we're seeing later and into tomorrow. We're doing this 2+2 Orman process because we strongly and powerfully believe in our cooperation between our nations. and we want to deepen it. And you mentioned in defence, we have the littoral group that is now proactive in this region permanently. We have the carrier strike group coming here next year, and we're very much looking to working with you and your operations on that. And we have a very, through AUKUS, a very clear view of our role in helping to maintain and enhance the international order on which we all depend. And that's why the UK has been active and proactive in the Red Sea, when we've seen freedom of navigation damaged by the Houthis there, by being one of just 2 nations. And we're again very grateful for Australian support in taking kinetic physical action against the Houthis. Because again, the read across is so obvious between what happens in freedom of navigation in the Red Sea and what needs to be free and open navigation in the Indo-Pacific as well. So we stand shoulder to shoulder in all of these many different ways. And as I said at the top, the thing which has struck me most in my first few hours with you here today is the extent to which distance is absolutely no object to us at all, because we stand united in our view of the world and what needs to be done. And we are proactive nations that are prepared to stand up and make sure that we do maintain the world order, which I think is very important. And it's great to be working on it with a new treaty together.
Thanks, Grant.